Anyway, welcome to October Red Interviews. Thank you very much for being a guest on our show. Caoimhin and Agyarko.
Yep.
I've got it
That's
right. It's all right. Take two, did it right. Fighter 8-0, professional middleweight fighter 8-0, currently signed with Frank Warren. You've had 150 amateur bouts, including a bout in the WSB. And you're looking to obviously pursue your career in the middleweight division. We're going to touch on a couple of things that I've done a little bit of research about you. And you're quite an interesting fighter because there's a little bit more of a substance to you. You're not just a fighter. There's more to you than that. You are of Irish Ghanaian descent.
Yeah.
You were born in England, but you moved to Ireland when you were 7. So just touch on you being in England and moving to Ireland, and then you getting involved in the sport of boxing.
Yeah, like I said, I moved to Belfast whenever I was 7. My mum's originally from Belfast, so she wanted to move back. Started boxing when I was 7 years old. The amateur boxing club that I boxed for, Holy Trinity, was facing my granny's house. My uncle used to box there, so my mum had just brought me and my brother down to the gym to show us where we boxed, or where he had boxed, sorry. And just from there, I put a pair of gloves on. It wasn't like, oh, you're coming down to join the club or anything like that. It was just show us where he had boxed. And from there, I put the gloves on, and I've never looked back. 17 years later, I'm still fighting.
17 years later. You made your professional debut, I believe, in 2018. But talk to us about your amateur career. And you mentioned earlier about your amateur coach being, is it Mickey Hawkins?
Yep.
So touch on that then. Tell us a bit about the amount of fights that you've had, why you had so many fights before you decided to turn pro.
Yeah, do you know what? I had about roughly 150 amateur fights, a lot of internationals. I was still, I turned pro at 21, which is still young enough. I could have stayed around the amateur game a bit longer, try to qualify for the Olympics. But I thought it was the right time. I had boxed for the WSB, something I always wanted to do. Had a great win. It would give me the platform to be recognised by certain promoters. I had won the Irish Elites and won 5 other national titles as well. So I won 6 national titles and won the Elite. So I'd achieved everything in Irish boxing that I could possibly achieve, and won all the nationals throughout the ranks, age groups, and everything in Ireland. So I thought like it was the right time for me to turn pro. I boxed for Ireland in the Worlds and Europeans at youth and junior level, and I had loads of internationals. And although my main goal was to box for Ireland at the Olympic Games, it was always a dream of mine. It just didn't work out, and sometimes that's just life. Things happen. But I didn't qualify. I was just too young at the time. I feel like I wasn't experienced enough. And I just didn't make it. It was one of them things. And then fast forward a couple of years, I decided to turn pro.
Yeah. Touch on that fight that you had with Connolly. That was a bit controversial. That's one of the fights that I watched.
Donnelly.
Talk to me about that fight, because that's the one that I have actually watched.
Yeah, do you know what? I fought Steven Donnelly in the qualifiers for the Commonwealth Games 2018. There's a lot of history behind me and Steven Donnelly. A lot of a big rivalry. Do you know what? He's a good fighter. Take nothing away from him. I feel like I was winning the fight and I threw it away. Just in the moment of the heat of the moment, I let things get to me. I let the atmosphere of the crowd and how big the fight was and everything else, and it just got to me. And unfortunately, I lost my bragging there and threw the head in after he had hit me. After the referee said step back, he had hit me twice, and it was the second time he did it in the fight. So that's the reason why I threw the head into him. It wasn't a head, but I pushed him away with my head, and unfortunately,
I've I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I paid the price and got 2 points taken off me, and that was the decider in the fight. But listen, it happened. It is what it is. I feel like it was a blessing in disguise. If it didn't happen, I probably would have stayed amateur a bit longer. Would have went to Commonwealth Games and hopefully I would have medaled. Or well, I thought that I would have medaled out there, and stayed around for Tokyo. But things didn't pan out that way. And fast forward to a couple months on, I ended up turning pro.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you had a couple of offers. What made you decide to go with Frank Warren?
You know what? I met up with Frank just after my WSB fight. It was the Luke Jackson first card from the fight in Belfast, and I'd been in touch, or someone had put me in touch with Frank, said that they wanted to meet up with me and potentially offer me a deal to turn pro. Yeah, so like I said, I met up with them in Belfast at the card from the fight, and everything I wanted in the deal was there, and we were able to strike a deal. I feel like all the other deals and that was offered me just wasn't right, and I same with Frank, and fast forward 2.5 years on, I'm 8-0 and still with him.
Yeah. And you had obviously the privilege to fight during lockdown, which gave a lot of fighters that wouldn't necessarily be seen like by people like myself, the chance to shine on that stage. One of the fights that I watched during lockdown was the Jez Smith fight. Very durable opponent. You got the win. Obviously, I think, gosh, the round 7, 30 seconds left. There was a lovely uppercut. Stopped him in his tracks, and he was counted to 8. Round 9, 30 seconds left. Another knockdown. This was from a body shot. And then obviously round 9, less than a minute into round 9, I should say, he was counted out and the ref said no more. Talk to me about that fight.
Yeah, do you know what? Jez is a credible opponent. They're very tough. Wears his heart on his sleeve, and he'd have fought on probably for 15 rounds, so he got nailed to that canvas. But it was a right decision by the referee. Yeah, do you know what? A lot of people. I feel like that was a fight that got me a lot of recognition in my pro career so far. It was the fight that I showed a lot of skill in that fight, but a fight that for me, I would probably give myself a 3 out of 10 being nice to myself. I don't feel like I performed, although a lot of people feel like I performed well enough. I don't feel like I performed anywhere near to my best.
Why?
Do you know what? There was a lot of things that went on behind closed doors. It was a very tough camp for me, mentally and physically. Physically, it was probably the best camp that I've had. Mentally, it was very tough. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend after 3.5 years. I had 2 weeks out from the fight. I'd hurt my hand and tore 4 ligaments. I shouldn't have fought going into a 10-round fight against a very good opponent. I shouldn't have fought. And then we couldn't get an opponent. It was meant to be for a title. It was meant to be for the Celtic title. My opponent pulled out. Then no one would take the fight. 2 weeks on, or 2 weeks left of the fight, I get told Jez Smith takes the fight, and then 5 rounds later in sparring, I hurt my hand. And so everything kind of just physically, it was the best camp. I had prepared the best I possibly could, other than hurt my hand 2 weeks out. And then mentally, it was very tough, but it's one of them things. In the fight, I felt like it took its toll from round 2 to 6, I'd say, because round 1 I had a very good first round, and I felt like I was going to get him out of there. I heard him with a body shot towards the end of the first, and that was probably one of the reasons why I took my foot off the gas as well and got a bit complacent. But other than that, I felt like I was very mentally drained going into that fight. There was a lot of things that was just playing on my mind, going on behind closed doors, and then it took its toll in the fight. I'm a fighter that would adapt very quickly, and I was just getting hit with shots that I wouldn't get hit with. My mind just wasn't on the the task ahead. And thankfully, my coach gave me a kick up the arse at the end of round 5, and I got my second win in round 6, and I was able to show everybody the real Caoimhin Agyarko, and thankfully get the win and doing a style and stop him at the end of the start of the 9th round.
So when we're talking about the real Caoimhin Agyarko, you know, thanks for sharing with us something that's, you know, so personal to you. Relationship breakdowns are tough at the best of times. But we talk about your mindset. You went into that fight, like you said, you've got loads of things going on. You're thinking about the injury. Obviously, you're thinking about the breakdown in the relationship. You went out there strong. You'd say you comfortably won the first round, but then from round 2 to 5, you know, you just slipped away and weren't really on the job and were getting hit with unnecessary shots, as you put it yourself. You shouldn't have been getting hit. You went back to the corner and your coach says, you know, pull your socks up, son, get back in there, you know, get on it. But how do you, it's all right, the coach saying that, but then how do you think, you know what, I've got to get on with it. I've got to do this. I've got to win this fight. No matter what's going on, I've got to get in there and do a job. How do you do that as a person?
Do you know what? I don't know. It's something in that fight that I felt that I've never felt before. And it's, you either have it in you or you don't. You're able to overcome that kind of adversity, or you can't. And thankfully, I've been through a lot in life. And I've had to overcome certain things. And that fight was just another thing. In round 4 or 5, when I was getting hit with unnecessary shots, at the end of round 5, I was able to just switch my mind, and something inside me went, right, let's fucking, sorry for my French, but let's go. Let's have it. Let's have a fight. You know what I mean? And I felt like, although I felt like I was winning the rounds, I felt that I was leaving them too close to maybe the judge giving him a round. Do you know what I mean? So I had to give myself, although my coach gave me a kick up the arse, I had to give myself a kick up the arse. And I'm a very mentally strong person, and for me, something just clicked in the fight. And I said to myself, right, let's go. You've worked hard. Whatever's happened behind closed doors, let's leave it behind closed doors. We've got a job ahead, and it's not finished. So we can soak later and think about everything else that happened behind closed doors another time. Park it. And I had to kind of mid fight, the biggest fight of my career, my first time rounder, my first real tough opponent as a professional. I had to put all my personal problems that I was thinking about in the fight. As I was going back to the corner, I was thinking about. And there's only a couple of people that I've told this. I was thinking about what was going on. I was thinking about hurt my hand, my ex, and everything else, my personal life, while fighting for the biggest fight of my life. I wasn't thinking about my fight. I was in that 5th round. I was thinking about other things, and I had to pull myself in. Like, you talk about pulling yourself out of a dark hole or dark places or certain situations. I had to do that in a fight, and for me, it showed character. It showed it. It ticked a lot of boxes for me. It showed me that I can do that. Do you know what I mean? It showed me no matter what happens in there or what's going on, I can do that. So I had to overcome certain things in that fight mentally, and thankfully I did. I was able to do so, and I got the win. So yeah, it was a mentally tough fight for me. Physically, it was a tough fight as well, but we overcome it, and it was probably the right learning fight that I needed at the time. And I probably needed everything else to go. Like, I always refer back to things always happen for a reason, I believe, in my life. And I feel like it was a blessing in disguise that what was going on in my personal life went on at the right time in the biggest fight of my career at that time. And it all played a part at the same time in that fight. And I feel like I had to overcome everything at that moment. I had to overcome it all, because it showed me who I am as a person. It showed me that I can do that. It showed me that I can overcome adversity and overcome certain things when the things get tough and get hard. It showed me that I can grit down and bite down and still give it everything I've got. And I did that. So I was thankful for them lessons.
Yeah, we talk about, you know, testing character, and you dug deep and you were able to do that. But that wasn't the first time that you've had to, you know, do that. I know that previously, you know, I've watched a few of your interviews previously, and I know you said, if I lose, people will brand me as I'm not the same anymore after being stabbed. So take me back to that and how you can come back from adversity and still win. And when I say still win in life, not just in the ring, but you've had to go through some serious stuff, like some serious adversity in life, and say, you know what? I'm going to still fight. I'm going to still take this sport seriously. I want my life to change. I want it to change for the better. Talk to me about what happened when you were stabbed.
Yeah, obviously 2018 or 2017 May, near 4 years next month.
Before you turned pro?
Yeah, before I turned pro, I was still amateur. I got stabbed in the city centre in Belfast, sliced down the side of my face, and an inch from my main artery in my neck, and I had bled out in 12 seconds. So I'm very thankful to still be alive. But yeah, do you know what? It's one of the things that happened. It was very mentally tough for me. Probably the darkest moment of my life so far. I was in a very dark place. It was one of them ones where, do I seek revenge or do I continue to be a better person and build my career and set out to achieve everything that I've set out to achieve? And it was very, very hard for me, and thankfully I did so. I took the right route, and continued to better myself as a person, go for everything that I had to go through, mentally overcome certain situations that were very hard for me, but I did so, and I chose the right route to go down and continue to be a fighter and keep on fighting and achieve what I've wanted to achieve. I turned pro, and thankfully I'm 8-0 at the moment, and all that played its part in my career. Do you know what I mean? It's made me a better person. It's made me mentally stronger, and I'm just thankful for that.
So how do you then say, you know, someone really hurts you, and they don't hurt you just, I don't know, smack you in the face or trip you up or whatever. Somebody really hurts you, like you said, a few more millimeters away, and that would have been a main artery, and we wouldn't be sat here now having this conversation. So that mindset to say, you know what, this is bigger than what's happened to me. I can easily take revenge, because revenge it's a natural instinct. Somebody does something to you, you automatically, you want to get them back. But then you pull yourself in and you have a word, whether it's the people around you, whatever it is, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to swallow my pride. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. I've got to make myself better. That's the best revenge. How do you get to that point mentally? Because a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. You know what it's like. And you said, no, I'm not going to do that. How did you make that decision?
You know what? It's very tough. Like you say, you have to swallow your pride. And as a man, as a fighter, I'm somebody who, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and in that moment of being stabbed and through my life, I felt like I was violated, and I don't take well to that. I'm not somebody who would take well to that, but I knew that if I do that and I go down the wrong route, one, it could end up bad in terms of I could actually end up losing my life, because if it doesn't go to plan, that's what could happen. Two, if it does, I throw away everything that I've ever worked for, and I end up in jail or something like that. So it's one of them things where, is it worth the risk? Is it worth it? Do you know what I mean? I'm still here. I'm still alive. I've had to swallow my pride. I've had to mentally overcome a lot. Do you know what I mean? Very little people in my life would understand what I've had to overcome the last 4 years. But it's made me who I am today. So I had to simply think, is it worth that? Is it worth throwing away 15 years of boxing and what you're trying to achieve? And you know, I'm somebody who wants to be a better person every day in life. I'll wake up today and I'm a better person than I was yesterday. Every day isn't going to be great. Do you know what I mean? It's not, but I understand that.
So true.
I've become more understanding as a person, and I feel like that situation that happened to me 4 years ago in May has made me a better person. It's made me more understanding. It's made me realize a lot about life. The main thing it made me do is realize that life is too short. So if I want to achieve something, I've got to give it everything I've got. I've got to give it 100% and never live with regrets and reach for the stars. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. That's what I took out of that. I realized that I could have died. I could have the situation that could have went wrong. And thankfully, I believe I'm still here for a reason. It wasn't my time yet. God had a plan for me, and it was to become the first Black Irish world champion. And I'm still here to try and achieve that. So for me, that's what kind of pulled me out of that hole and realized that I don't need to seek revenge. I don't need to do none of that. I've got great friends and family and advisors around me that helped me get to this point. I mentioned earlier, one of my friends, Colin Francis, I remember being in hospital and he texted me a big message, and one of the things that lives with me to this day from that message was that look at 50 Cent. I think he actually used his real name, Curtis Jackson. He was like,
Curtis Jackson, yeah. He was shot.
Shot 9 times and still achieved great things. He says, I believe you're going to be a world champion. Don't let this get you down. And that's something that's lived with me ever since. And I look, when things get tough and my mind starts to wander, I look at that and I remember how far I've come from there. And I've still got a long way to go, a very, very long way to go. But I've come a long way from being sat in that hospital room, being angry and wanting to seek revenge and stuff like that. But yeah, it was very mentally tough to pull myself away from that and continue to be a professional boxer and achieve what I wanted to achieve in boxing. But I've did so I'm thankful for all the lessons that it taught me.
And what I will say is, you know, a credit to you as, you know, a human being and being able to not have short-sighted vision, because revenge gives you that almost that instant satisfaction, but then it goes and you're still angry. So what you did is step over that emotion and you looked into the long run, you looked into the distance and said, you know, this is not, I can't be short-sighted with this. I have to step over adversity.
I took it personal in another way. Yeah, they did stab me, and that's very personal in itself. And I was violated, but I took it personally, as in, if I seek revenge, I lose.
Absolutely.
Nothing good comes from that. If I seek revenge, I lose. So they win. I'm a competitive person and I want to win at all costs. So I felt like that was one of the main factors as well, is that if I seek revenge, I lose regardless. And for me to keep on winning, I have to overcome that. I have to forget about it. I have to not so much forget, but forgive in a way. And I don't want to. It's hard to explain that.
No, I hear it. I hear you. Trust me.
Forgive in a way and forgive myself. Forgive that and just let it go in a way and continue to try and do great things and achieve great things. And I've did that. Listen, it's not easy. It's far from easy, but I still have my down days. Things still get mentally tough for me, and 4 years on, it's not something that I'm gonna forget about. But I know the reasons why I'm doing it. I know the reasons why I'm in boxing and what I want to achieve in life, and I know what I have to do to get me there. And something like that, I have to let go. So, it all plays its part. I know that if I want to become the first Black Irish World Champion, I have to leave certain things in the past, and I'm still dealing to do that, but I've come a long way since them days.
Yeah, it's knowing who you are and what you've been through, but accepting that, and
Exactly.
kind of like, it's sort of like, I don't know, one for a better word, it's not like a medal, but it's sort of like, it's a shield, isn't it? You've been through this and you carry this, it's there, but you move forward with it. You don't sit there wallowing in, like, the self-pity, or like you said, it could have gone totally left, but you thought, no, the way to win is to get better.
Exactly.
So everyone that, has ever caused you any harm or done anything out of malice or spite towards you, they'll see you progressing through your career. And I'm sure that will hurt so much more. You're an absolute credit to the sport. You're an inspiration. And I'm sure people listening to this will hear those wise words and possibly make that change, possibly make that switch, so they too can become better, and they can have more of a long-sighted view of their life, rather than it just being like this straight ahead tunnel vision, but more of a panoramic view.
But yeah, to come back in the boxing, it was very mentally hard to pull myself out of a dark place. I still struggle sometimes with that. But I always say I get better 1% at a time. But yeah, it was very hard, but I knew the reasons I was doing it for. Do you know what I mean? I'm in boxing for a reason, and I do it for myself and my family. I've got dreams and goals that I want to achieve, and I knew that if I couldn't let them win, I couldn't let them only take my life, but I couldn't let them win and destroy my future in boxing. Do you know what I mean? Or destroy my future in general. So it was like, if I don't pull myself out of this hole mentally and continue to do what I had set out to do, they win regardless. You know what I mean? So I would play little games with myself, and it's like, who's the tougher, me or them? Do you know what I mean? And thankfully, I realized that I wouldn't let them win, and I pulled myself out of that, and I turned pro, or I achieved a lot towards the end of my amateur career, and I've turned pro, and it was a blessing in disguise. But
it is really touching, and it's real, because you don't know who's listening, who may get into a similar situation, who has been in a similar situation, and will look up to you as inspiration. People do get hurt, some people don't make it out, but you're one of them that did. And like you said, that test of character, of strength, you said it's a natural reaction. Just like in boxing, when you're a counter puncher, someone punches you, you're going to automatically, you're punching them back. Exactly, so somebody hurts you to such a horrible way to get hurt. And for you to then say, you know what? I can't get revenge. My revenge is to do better. My revenge is to take this boxing thing to another level. That shows strength. That shows character. And this is what we need in the sport. Yes, I get it. Oh, every time you do an interview, oh yeah, and remember that time you got no, but I get it. And the only reason why I brought it up is because you touched on emotions that you had when you were in the fight with your late opponent, Jez Smith. I'm terrible with names, that's why I have to keep on looking at my notes. And you touched on something which showed that you had to literally pull yourself back into the moment and say, why am I here? Why am I here?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's being able to deal with that. You've been through a horrific time. You've been through some more heartache. You know what it's like. There'll be more stuff to come, but hopefully you'll be sitting on a bag of change in a mansion, so those tears won't hurt too much.
Yeah, hopefully.
Do you know what I mean? It's all about looking forward. So speaking of looking forward, you've had 2 fights in lockdown. We're coming out of it now. What's next?
I've got my first title fight coming up. I'm currently in camp. I do have a date, but I can't announce it yet.
Fair enough.
But I will be fighting for the WBC International in my next fight. Yeah, so listen, I'll be out hopefully 2-3 times this year. Pick up my first title in my next fight, hopefully, and just keep on progressing from there.
Yeah, because I've got here that you put up something on Twitter saying, I think it was 4 days ago, can't wait till Uncle Frank announces the fight news. And I was like, oh, this is good timing. You've definitely DM'd him at the right time. So fair enough, you can't announce anything yet, but we know something's bubbling.
Yeah, no, definitely. Listen, I don't have an opponent just yet. I've had another one pull out. So we're just working on trying to get an opponent. But we do have certain plans put in place, and I should be out very soon. Yeah,
because I'm looking. You're ranked number 12, aren't you?
Yeah, it keeps different. I don't know. It goes up and down.
Fluctuating, isn't it?
Yeah, because I broke into the top 10, and then another middleweight will fight, and they'll just move the ranking. So yeah, I think I'm roughly have been sitting around 10 to 12, 13, whatever.
Yeah, because I was looking at that because obviously the big heads at the top of the game, we've got Liam Williams, we've got Chris Eubank Jr., Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, and obviously we know that Canelo's moved up to super middleweight. So you've got some tasty names. There's also Felix Cash.
Denzel Bentley fighting Felix Cash, yeah. Who else? I'm not too sure.
So there's a couple of names up there that are obviously above you, but are you going to continue to build your craft? And no fight's an easy fight because sometimes people can come in there and really upset the apple cart. We've seen it, especially during the lockdown period where the favourite has got their bum cheeks handed to them on the plate.
Yeah.
So in regards to your strategy to build your numbers, to build those wins, to build those experience, what type of opponents are you looking for? Are you looking for ones that are on the same level as yourself? Or are you going to start to go in as an 8-0 fighter and start taking more riskier fights? Or are you just looking at building that CV?
Yeah, do you know what? I want the right fights at the right time. If you look at my record, I've had 8 fights. I think I fought 5 opponents with winning records.
Yes.
Something like that. I don't want a padded record. I know how good I am. I don't think I need a padded record or need to be fighting journeyman week in, week out. What I need is step up in class each fight. The Jez Smith fight although I had a lot going on, it was a perfect step up in class for me. 1,000,000%. That was a great step up. Even my last fight, although his record doesn't suggest that he's as good as
Robbie
he is.
Chapman.
Robbie Chapman's a good fighter.
He is.
He's a good fighter, and unfortunately, he's had to go down the route of becoming a journeyman because it's hard to sell tickets and whatever else. And you got to be realistic to what you can achieve in the sport. So I'm just looking them kind of step ups. I've got my first title. We were looking at a step up in class for this fight. We had a good opponent. Unfortunately, they've turned down the fight. But
why did they turn it down?
I mean, who would want to fight me? Too much of a risk for anybody. With nothing to bring to the table. But yeah, do you know what? I want to just keep on progressing nicely. I'm a fit. I'll jump in there with Canelo in the morning and believe that I'm going to win. I'm that person. I'm that fighter. But I understand that in the sport of boxing, you've got to take your time. You've got to take the learning fights at the right time, gain that experience. And if lockdown has showed us anything, it showed us that some people get thrown in the deep water too soon. Do you know what I mean? And you only get one career, you only get one chance, and it's got to be the right time, the right money, the right title on the line. everything has to be right for you. So I've got a great team around me, a great coach in Al Smith and Eddie Lamb, managed by Francis Warren, and promoted by Frank. So I believe in them to guide my career to where I want it to go. And we'll take the right fights at the right time.
Yeah. You've also had some experience with sparring with Billy Joe as well.
I was out in Spain about 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, Fuerteventura.
I was from America, but yeah.
Yeah, I was meant to go to America.
So that was chatting total rubbish then.
Yeah, I was meant to go to America, but it just fell through. I've got my first title fight. I have to put myself first. Can't risk going out there getting injured and not spending time with my coach.
Yeah.
But I was out in Fuerteventura for 10 days, helping them prepare. It was a great experience for me. Do you know what? There wouldn't be very many big profile names that I've sparred with. I did a couple when I only turned pro. I did a couple rounds with Josh Kelly. Obviously Bradley Skeet was in my gym at the time. I used to have great spars with Brad. And
then I like him, the fighter.
Yeah, Bradley's very good. Then just sparring your typical middleweight. Everyone keeps on calling me the Canelo clone. That's why everyone compares me to these mad fighters. It is, yeah.
It's your movement.
I get compared to all these big fighters, but I don't take anything from that. I don't try and be anybody else. I don't.
Yeah,
whenever I was out sparring Billy Joe, I wasn't trying to implement Canelo style. I was trying to be me, and if that's good enough for him, then it's good enough. If not, it is what it is. But yeah, so I was meant to spar Billy or Caoimhin Smith. That fell through, unfortunately, because it was kind of short notice, and I wasn't in the gym and stuff. But yeah, other than that, Billy Joe's probably the best I've sparred. It was an unbelievable experience to spar him and just gain so much knowledge of him.
Yeah, because he's another one with very good movement as well. Very slick fighter. I won't ask you for your predictions because it's pointless.
I'm a very realistic fighter. I'll tell you my predictions.
Come on, then.
I truly believe Billy Joe has what it takes to beat Canelo. And I truly believe that he can get a points win out there. But that's based on if he can keep his cool, box to the box to his ability that I know he can, show the Billy Joe that everybody knows is slick movement, hard to hit, fast hands, good feet.
Lovely
if he
movement.
Does that, 100%, I truly hand on heart believe he's going to pull off an upset. I've been in there with him, know how hard it is to hit him, how good he is. He's so good at using his angles and hit you from different angles, and I just believe he can. Canelo's a slow starter. He can rack up them early rounds, and then once he does that, Canelo's going to have to come chasing, and it'll just fall into his game plan. But then again, if Canelo gets his hands on him early, it can be a different fight. Like, I think Billy Joe has a good chin, and I think the thing is, people don't realize that Billy Joe actually hits very hard, and he's very physically strong in there, very physically strong. So a lot of people were saying to me, how's he going to deal with how strong Canelo is and stuff like that, how physically strong he is, and I'm like, he's just as physically strong, and it's going to be a very interesting fight. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one, and he has to pull off one of the biggest upsets in boxing for it. But if he does pull it off, it just looks good on me as well, being his main sparring partner. So, but yeah, no, I do believe he can do it. He's definitely got all the attributes and ability to do so. But we'll see on the night.
Yeah. And what do you think about the bout with Demetrius Andrade and Liam Williams? How do you see that going?
Do you know what? I'm a big fan of Liam Williams. There's just something about him. I like the way he goes about his business. He doesn't care. He's an aggressive fighter, but also got good boxing ability. It's a tough one. It is a tough one, but I haven't been impressed with Andrade in his last couple of fights.
Okay.
Why not? I don't think he's performed well. In his last couple of fights, I don't think he's performed to the Andrade that I seen at the start previously. Previously. But if you look at that I'm not sure what his first name is, but Fox, that they both fought. Liam Williams wiped him out of there in 4 rounds, and Andrade got a close points when against him. I know styles make fights, but I know styles make fights, but it's the only fighter that they fought that's very similar. So, excuse me. I think definitely. I think that Williams can pull it off and win. If there's anyone to beat Andrade at the moment, I think it is Williams with his style. He's just relentless, and I think he can hurt Andrade and probably potentially stop him late.
Yeah, with Williams, what I like about him is his savage mentality when he gets in the ring. He wants to kill you.
That's it.
It's like there's a switch that just goes off, and that's it. He's on the hunt.
And that's what separates certain fighters as well. I feel
100%.
Like I showed that in the Jez Smith fight and the what did I fight last? Robbie Chapman.
Yeah.
It's that killer instinct, and Liam Williams has it. Certain fighters will hurt you and just can't close the show, can't get you out of there. They don't have it in them. They don't have that killer instinct. But there's certain fighters that do, and someone like Liam Williams, who's got power, who's got good hand speed, footwork, he can box a bit. He's got a good boxing brain, and to go with that, he's got that killer instinct. So if he has you hurt, he will get you out of there.
Good fighter, very malicious, and like you said, he's got that bad intention, which not every boxer's got. He wants to go in there, and similar fighters, but obviously different weight class, is I'd say the South Americans.
Yeah,
they are almost like trained, not like robotic as in movements, but almost like there's a switch and it just goes on when you get in there, and it's not that they only hear the bell, they only hear the stop, that's it. They are not going to stop unless they hear certain things. Liam's got that. So I wish him all the best. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
I know we had to do a double take. We're not going to point any fingers, but I'll point it myself. The one last question that I have got for you: are you going to move to the UK? Are you going to stay in Ireland?
No, I'll stay in Ireland. So I just come back for camps,
right,
and I train here for training camps, and I go back. I've still got fun. My dad still lives here, and my cousins and stuff. So I'm back and forth regardless. But I'll live in Belfast.
Okay. So
for the time being, anyway. Things could change in the future, but
it could change. You could get that lovely 12 bed in wherever it is. I don't know. some posh part of the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
No problem at all.
Thank you for taking the time out to come on October Red interview.
No problem. Thank you for interviewing me.
October Red on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And don't forget, at October Red, we stay ready.